And this, my friend, is what wrestling is all about, when you get to go see a big crowd and number one against number two.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a dandy.
It's going to be fun. And Oklahoma State, what a tradition. 27 national team titles.
Well, that sounds good. I'll tell you, everybody likes that, but there's one problem, and that is they haven't won since 1971. And that sticks in their craw. They want to get this.
Yes, Iowa has won 9 out of the last 10, and that makes Myron Roderick, the Oklahoma State athletic director, a little upset. He used to coach this team.
Well, he coached 7 national titles, and he was on the team with 3 of those titles. So Myron really wants to get this thing. He said to me one time that there's only 3 or 4 programs in the country that have the tradition that can go out and win a national championship. So he thinks he's one of them, and he was mad that he wasn't for that long period of time in there.
Well, 2 times Oklahoma State won meets last year, then lost the national. So there was a coaching change, and in came Joe C. from Cal Bakersfield. Now, Chuck, why did Myron Roderick pick Joe C.?
I think there's a couple of reasons. One is he had gone on into the national championship with that Division II team of his from Cal Bakersfield, and he had produced winners. And he brought those kids into Division I. They won the championship. But more importantly, I think, is that he coaches a very controlled style. You're going to see the boys from Oklahoma State are going to wrestle on their feet. They're going to do a great job, and they're going to come after you controlled.
And they're going to be tough. And tonight they're going to be tough at every weight, as is Iowa. Let's take a look at 134 pounds. The Cowboys have number 1 ranked Johnny Smith.
Well, John Smith is just an outstanding competitor. Last year he had a great year. You know, as a freshman he only had 3 losses. 2 of those were the young man Darkus from Iowa State who won a national title.
And Greg Randall is his opponent tonight. Everybody in Iowa knows Greg.
Greg Randall is a 4-time state champion. Now this young guy was 2nd in the nationals last year as a freshman, ranked 3rd this year, but he is going after that national championship.
And we're going to have a couple of mountain goats butting heads at 158 too here with the number 2 and number 1 men. Bill Dykman's the Cowboy.
Well, Bill Dykman used to go to Louisiana State. At Louisiana State he placed 6th, transferred to Oklahoma State last year. Now he goes ahead and gets 4th, so he is really a very good competitor.
But Kistler is an All-American too, and he's ranked number 1.
Well, Kistler should be number 1, I believe. He's got an outstanding record. He only has 1 loss, was 2nd in the nation last year. This is going to be a real dandy matchup.
Now listen, there are 11 fellows here ranked 5th or better in their weight classes. We're going to take a look at this list, and you're going to see that there are actually 3 more number 1 ranked wrestlers here, including Barry Davis, who won the Olympic silver.
Well, you know, you take a hold of that kind of title, and then you put in there with a couple of other people, you got this thing really going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, with Mark Perry there, number 1 ranked for Oklahoma State at 118, and Goldman at 190 for Iowa. Man, what a bunch of matches we're going to have for you tonight. So stick around, won't you? We're back at the Carver Hawkeye Arena for college wrestling. Tonight's referee is Mike Allen, and we're at 118 pounds between Iowa's Matt Egelin and the number 1 ranked wrestler in the country at his weight, Mark Perry, a senior for the Cowboys from Del City, Oklahoma. And as you can see, tonight we have a light uniform and a dark, Iowa in the black, of course, and Oklahoma State in the orange.
It's going to be easy for people to see, and they're going to hear a lot of noise tonight, Doug. This place is a good crowd. You'll find Mark Perry likes to control arms. He wants to control that inside position when he's wrestling with his opponents. And then he does a fairly good job of making penetration. Now, he just isn't a real active wrestler. He makes fairly definite shots when he goes, usually makes fairly good work of it.
This is the 118-pound match, Egelin against Perry. Barry Davis will wrestle Brian Stevens of Oklahoma State at 126 coming up next. Greg Randall goes up against number 1 ranked John Smith at 34. Kevin Dresser will wrestle Leo Bailey at 42. It's Heffernan versus the Cowboys Scove at 50. The Kistler brothers, Marty Kistler 158 against Bill Dykman. Lindy Kistler against Dwayne Peoples, who's in there tonight at 167. That was a late change. At 177, Chipperelli for Iowa against Kearney. There's the first takedown of this meet, Mark Perry. Little tussle on the edge.
Extracurricular activity.
And Dwayne Goldman at 190 goes against Bob Kopecki. And the heavyweight match is Steve Wilbur of Iowa against number 4 ranked Kalen O'Hara, who's been an All-American twice. So Iowa figures they want to be ahead by the time they get to heavyweight, I think.
I'm sure of that. I know Oklahoma State's planning on winning this match. and they think they can win it big. So far, hasn't been a real big score by Perry, so he's going to have to get the work on top.
Perry has been a pin or two. Last year, 12 of his 31 wins were by fall. There's Dan Gable, and on his left is Mark Johnson, assistant coach. Perry on top. We have 1:27 to go. We're halfway through the first period. Perry leads by 2.
Well, he's in a little bit of trouble here with that leg tied up, but Eglin from Iowa wasn't able to get his hips up over top and lost that position. Now he's got to go from right here and build his base back. Perry from Oklahoma State's tough on top, does a good job of barring arms and keeping pressure toward the head. So Eglin needs to make sure he keeps his base. This is a position that Perry likes. He gets the arms and gets things up high. He likes to take his leg and stick it inside.
Potentially dangerous hold, says Mike Allen. Joe C. would have liked to see that one continue. He's the coach, Cal Bakersfield, and there's Leroy Smith. And he was one of the principals in that famous Olympic controversy last year when he didn't go to the Olympics and Randy Lewis did, and Dan Gable got in the middle of it with a lot of people mad at him, a lot of people happy with it. So
depends on what part of the country you're from, doesn't it?
I think so. Perry, tough position on top, but
it was a nice move by Eglin. Perry got that leg up a little, just reached it back, hooked the ankle, and threw him over the top with it.
We don't have any point given for escape yet because of that hammer lock. The escape was not given. It's 2-0. 21 seconds to go in the 3-minute first period. Each other period will be 2 minutes, as you know, the second and the third.
Perry has beaten him with that jam every time on the whistle on top. Starting on the right side and then jam the arm to take away his offensive moves from the bottom. So Eglin's going to have to make an adjustment to that if he's going to be able to score from the bottom, because Perry's so tough once he gets him stopped.
He sticks that head into that head lever and controls the arm really tough. Eglin hasn't been able to get any kind of move going here, and Perry rode him for 1:49 after the takedown. The choice in the first period, decided by a coin flip before the meet, in this match will be Eglin. He gets his choice and says up.
Well, he just intentionally released him. Comes right back in on offense, but doesn't score. Now he's got to get going now with the offense. Eglin from Iowa has to generate offense here because this is a position he desires to be in.
Just a 2-point lead for Perry. So Oklahoma State at 118 favored, definitely, because Perry is #1. He also won in the East-West meet. There was a nice move.
He's a much more controlled wrestler than we've seen him earlier in his career. So he just has things under control now. He's doing what he wants to do. And with the arms tied up like this, it's going to be very difficult for Eglin. Has to get the arms free and then get back to his base in that order.
Score here is actually 4-1 because, oh, it is 5-0 because Perry got the escape.
Yes.
Well, Perry Davis up next.
Perry was just, now here's it, he pulls in on the arm, and then when Eglin comes up, he just pitches him over.
Yeah.
Throws the arm by. Could have cost him to his back, but he just let the arm relax so he didn't get taken over.
5-0 Perry. He has a lot of riding time, more than 2 minutes, and he squashes Eglin with that.
Well, there's that. He just punched him out with that when he put the legs in. Put him in raw, knocked him down to his belly. Now it's a matter of seeing what he can do with it. Eglin looks almost free here, but as long as the man on top stays behind the elbows, he's okay. Eglin needs to let go of that leg and come out and face him. So this is the position that Perry likes to be in. Inside leg tucked in. Looks like the knee's going to get hurt.
There's Kathy Gable with part of the family there. This is an exciting meet. You can see the tension in the family there, I think. Dan Gable trying to get Egeland up. He's down by 5 here in the second period with half a minute to go. Mark Perry on top. You can see why he's #1 and why he's considered a tough hitter. He just got a caution.
Well, he slides into that. He's put himself in a position on that side to hit the jam several times by sliding in. This time he tried to slide up over top. So it's important to get set. Don't let the guy jump.
Mike Allen, the referee, gets him started again, and Perry takes control once more.
It's very difficult to work offense when your arms are tied up, Doug. So it's the arms getting tied up that's causing him all the problem. From this point, Perry from Oklahoma could turn him, but he likes this position, so it's difficult on Egeland. Even though it looks like he's out a lot, he's still in trouble. Could get turned to his back out of that one.
Tough period for Egeland because Perry picked up another 3 after the escape, a takedown, and now 3 and almost 3.5 minutes of riding time for Perry, so he has a point sewed up for riding time. So it's, for all purposes, for practical purposes, a 6-point lead here for Perry. There's Egeland, psyching himself up to go. Made it to his feet first time, got the whizzer in first time.
All right, he's in that position where if he can get that arm across his back, he has to be able to get the arm from the middle of his back. But he could get in trouble right here. Perry steps up and gets in front of him. Right now, he's just trying to stay with it.
1 point.
He just got penalized for stalling in that position.
I missed the earlier warning. 5-1. Now Egeland's out. 5-2. On the feet. Egeland in on the leg. Touchdown.
Penetrated deep on that.
And now the crowd at Carver Hawkeye is alive.
They should be alive. Dougie came back in that match nicely. Earned his escape, came right back for an offensive takedown.
Hawkeye fans smelled an upset, maybe. Egeland behind by 1. There's Joe C. This is one he does not want to lose. He does not expect to lose this. There's the #1 ranked man, Perry, leading by 1 point. And on the bottom, 5-4. He could stay down here and
he just dropped his nose right in the net right there. Egeland's really taking the field now with the
No, not about. Boy, Egeland has really come alive in this last period, Chuck.
Yes, he has. He's done all the job. He's the offensive wrestler here. And if he continues to wrestle aggressively like this, Perry will get penalized for stalling again.
And it's Perry's move with that chuck again.
Yes, he just takes that underhook, throws it by.
8-4. A 4-point lead. He'll have riding time, remember, and half a minute to go.
He got a little complacent right there, and Egeland came back in that match very well.
Right. I mean, this is Iowa and Oklahoma State. You don't dare let up.
Well, he's not wrestling for a fall. You know, he's wrestling to win a match, and it shows.
Now he almost had back points there, but not quite. It's almost over. And Perry will escape with a win. Riding time makes it 9-4 in favor of Perry over Egeland. A 3-0 lead for Oklahoma State, but the Iowa crowd is on its feet, giving Egeland a hand. Mark Perry, the winner, 9-4. And now we go to 126. The Cowboys are up And the Olympic silver medalist, 3-time state champion, 2-time national champion, Barry Davis sets up to go against Brian Stevens. Stevens is a sophomore from Midland, Texas. He came from Cal Bakersfield with the coach, Joe C. His record is only so-so.
Well, he's going to have a better than so-so against this guy because Davis is fired.
Yeah, you could tell earlier in the warm-ups. But here comes Stevens in on the leg. That he's going to have to do a little better to hold it, though.
That could be a good match if he'd wrestle continue aggressive like this. That's what he needs to do. Davis wants to end this thing, and if Stevens would go ahead and wrestle aggressively, could take some of Davis's offense away from him.
It is true that Davis sometimes starts slowly, but not tonight. He's in on the leg. How will he finish it? 2-0.
He just didn't give it earlier, so it was just a 2-point takedown at that time. Now here's where some of the international experience may pay off. Depends on how long he can stay in here, but he knows how to use the legs very effectively. Puts a lot of pressure up there. Gets a post on his shoulder.
Mike Allen is hoping stalemate. You could see that Davis was parallel to his man, and he was not able to crank him over in the arm. So we go back to the referee's position again with 1:47 to go. Oklahoma State 3 on a tough win in the first match, and Davis leads 2-0 here.
We saw a nice little foot sweep right there at Davis just to catch him on the way out.
Now 2-1 after the escape.
Well, he's going to try to build his lead, maybe technical fall, this man.
Beautiful shot.
Very nice carry.
He got 2. He was awfully close to putting Stevens on his back with the takedown, too. Now he's going to go up above the head and work.
Well, he has to keep the arm so that it doesn't go parallel to the long axis. He's got to take it across the body. In order to make this work, Doug, he's got the pry on, but the arm on the downside needs to be posted first. That's why it isn't working so successfully. So he just cuts out.
He couldn't do the back. He's wrestling with a lot of abandon here, obviously.
Yes, he's not even worried about control. He's just thinking a 15, 16-point match or pin.
40 seconds to go, first period. Davis gets the outside single again.
He doesn't have it yet because of the whizzer, but
now
there
he
gets it.
Two back points.
Right to the head, right after that takedown. Now here's, if you can get the shoulder posted that you can see, needs to get that arm underneath the man, then he'll go.
Potentially dangerous. Again, the angle's bad. 8-2 is the score. There's Dan Gable. Looking at his bench, Joe C. from the Cal State side, trying to shout above this crowd.
Hard to hear anything when this crowd's this noisy.
What'd you say? Just a few seconds to go in the first period. Davis has piled him up here, 8-2, and he gets stronger. Oh, he landed Stevens right on his head.
Yeah, well, when his hips came up, Stevens decided to go ahead and throw a Granby. Came down and lit on top of his head.
All right, first period is over as Herkey circulates among the crowd. Take a look at that one again.
He gets in on the leg, and now the whizzer is preventing the two, and there he jumps right to the head.
Now the whizzer almost cost him his match there. He just about got stuck.
It prevented the takedown. Davis wisely came out and went right to the head on it. Now here he's trying to build himself up.
8-3. Stevens had his choice and took up, but he's not, unfortunately for him, going to be up very long, it appears. Well, he's stayed with him.
Stayed in behind the arms, but Davis just continues to pick on hands and get to his feet. Scores his point.
Davis goes back to work. For the first time, we see him in the 2-on-1 tie on the feet.
I'd be very surprised if this match goes the whole route.
Davis working hard on the arm. He doesn't have takedown yet, but he's trying to pin his man from here. with that front Nelson.
What has to happen is that arm that you see that isn't in the picture. That's the one that has to go over. So he just intentionally lets him go.
11-4. Remember, 15-point difference makes it the end of the match. It's just like a fall. Another takedown, 13-4. Have to glance at that scoreboard, make sure I'm not losing points.
Here, now there's a shoulder posted, so he's got a chance to take him on over now.
Want to wrap him up in the head scissors here.
It's this bottom arm, the elbow you see sticking out on the mat. That's what prevents the man from going. He certainly put a lot of pressure on the man.
Yeah, that's tough under there.
Young Stevens may not be able to shampoo his hair after this match. He won't be able to get his hands up in the air. Shoulders will be so sore.
Ryan Stevens, Barry Davis lost to John Fisher, the standout freshman from Michigan earlier this year, but that was in the Midlands, and he hasn't lost or come close to it since.
Been totally in control of this match, that's for sure.
Leading 13-4. We're 23 seconds from the end of the second period. Boom, on the back.
Right to the back.
Does he have time? No, he doesn't have time. A three-point near fall. That's 18-5.
It certainly was a wonderful takedown effort where he overpowered his man. So he comes in and he
didn't settle for the single.
No, he blocked the leg. He stepped past the far side knee and then used the head to whip the man over to his back for the takedown and the near fall.
All right, he needs one more point, and this one's over. If he gets a takedown here, it's bye-bye.
Well, there's very little that Stevens can do to stay away from him. Just too much of a wrestler.
6 takedowns for Davis. 2 near falls, 1 for 2, the other for 3 points. He escaped at the start of the second period.
Stalling on Stevens, 1 point goes to Davis.
Up, that's the end of it now. They're going to have to stop it. That's the end of the match. No, it isn't either. 19 to 5. There it is. There it is, the end of the match. Just a matter of time, Chuck.
Yes, it was.
A technical fall, 15-point difference. Barry Davis did just what he started out to do. Gets 6 points on the board for the Hawkeyes. 21-6 is the final score in that technical fall. It came with very little time gone in the third period.
Well, there are a bunch of good athletes in this competition, and they like this crowd. They like the enthusiasm. They're responding to it.
All right, now here's the first one where we have 2 wrestlers closely ranked. They're very closely matched. John Smith of the Cowboys on the left, ranked number 1. Greg Randall of the Hawkeyes, now on the left, ranked number 3. He finished second in the Nationals last year. And they're only sophomores. Randall is in.
He's in deep. And now both these boys are outstanding prep careers. And part of the reason is because they're such good athletes, not because it's technical work. They just have great athletic talent. Balance, power, strength.
Well, that one took place out of bounds.
It looked great, though, and it sure was a hard effort by Davis. Seems to be
John Smith.
Booze about everything tonight, Doug. There's an outside single, but it didn't really penetrate much. It kind of went down. There's a duck under attempt by Smith, and his was the same. It went down, but it didn't penetrate in.
Here it is, same night coverage of Oklahoma State and Iowa from Carver Hawkeye Arena. I'm Doug Brown, and Chuck Patton is the man with the ideas here. He's the former coach of University of Northern Iowa. Whoa, Randall gets the first takedown.
Well, Smith was going to try that head snap that he tried earlier to pop Randall down to the mat, and Randall just slipped it and then came right in behind it. And he's been very tough on Smith on the edge of the mat.
Uh-oh, Smith
hurt his shoulder.
Well, that happens sometimes in a big meet like this. A lot of tough competition, and he's going to take it easy and see how that happens.
See, here he tries to snap, and Randall just drives his hips up over top and slips the head out, comes in behind for the 2-point takedown. He's got him wound up real tight right here. You know, he's in a good position to try to drive him over, and as Smith gets out of this, Randall picks him up. See, they come up, and Randall still has control. Now watch him just lift the hips. Right here, he lifts the hips, he still has the arm, and he lands right on the point of that shoulder.
Ooh.
A lot of separations happen that way.
That's a lot of times, you're right. Those separations you've seen many times in wrestling meets. Landing on a shoulder, it hurts again. He's going to come back.
I think he might have popped it out. It just came down right on the point of that shoulder.
In fact, I saw read his lips. He said it popped. Something popped.
Yep.
Last year, he, as a freshman, was ranked very high at 126. Went into the Nationals, I think ranked third, wasn't it, Chuck?
I think he was seeded third, and then
he got bumped somehow in the second round. Oh man, he's still having trouble. He's the brother of Leroy Smith, a wrestling family from Del City, Oklahoma. Let's see it again.
See, here he is, and now he picks the crotch, and that lifting of the hips. Now he still has the arm out in front, and watch him kind of right on the point of the shoulder, right there.
Right on the point.
With all of his weight, all of Randall's weight, and all the drive of the move.
Those are the way things have gone in 5 years for Iowa against Iowa State, Oklahoma State. The only losses they've had in 5 years.
It's an unbelievable run, isn't it?
It sure is. 2-0. Now you're seeing Smith on the bottom, back wrestling again. That was his whizzer arm there, and I'm not sure.
I don't think he's going to keep this going. He only has 2 minutes of injury time, and he just isn't going to be able to use that.
It's really troubling him too, because he's a wonderful wrestler, and he doesn't want to quit. Now see how heartbroken he is. He knows there's something seriously wrong with his shoulder. He can't.
Yeah, he got separated. It's a real tough time of the year for that too, Doug.
Oh yeah, he knows.
He knows, and that's one of the things that probably is bothering him right now. And you see that pain in the face. It isn't just losing this match, but this is the lead up to the national championships. Every athlete aspires for in their entire life. Chance to come in and go in there healthy may be lost right now. So that's that heartbreak that's bothering him.
And it's a default. Randall, it's the same as a pin. And so the Hawkeyes get some help here. They go up 12-3. Randall was leading 2-0 when the injury took place. Greg Randall, the winner by default in the first period. I didn't get the time, but it was not very far into the match.
No, it's really one of those unfortunate things, as I said. Now here's young Smith. They're going to try to get an ice bag, and they'll put that on there to keep the shoulder from swelling if there is any kind of injury in there.
Well, let's wish him the best here.
Yes, we certainly do.
142. Now the question is, what is this going to do to Oklahoma State's mental set? You know, they've lost a couple here in a row.
We've seen it happen before, but one of the marks of really outstanding athletes is that they wrestle the match that they're in, and they don't worry about how the team is going to wrestle and how the team is performing. They have to learn to do that when they get to national competition. We'll see what happens in the match here with Bailey and
Dresser. Kevin Dresser of Iowa, 28-4, ranked 5th against Leo Bailey, who was an All-American 2 years ago at 134 pounds and redshirted last year. He's had trouble finding a place to wrestle.
Yeah, he normally does not wrestle for him because he's a 142-pounder, and Skov normally beats him out. Here he got caught in a takedown maneuver that didn't pan out because that great athletic balance pulled him out of there. It was very close, though.
It sure was. So he just goes right back to work again. Dresser of Humboldt, Iowa.
I think the thing that you can see in here is that Bailey from Oklahoma State likes to throw. He has some freestyle background. He's been working the low-level attack earlier, but he just hasn't been able to use it. Now here's that little tip that we've seen Dresser try earlier in this match, where he comes across and blocks the leg, pulls on the off arm. These boys have been making some offensive maneuvers here.
Yeah, he's using that same tip again.
He's caught him in a front headlock right now. He has the arm and the head, but he's boring into him instead of pulling him down and away from his base. So it'll be interesting to see what he's trying to do with this.
Now he's trying to come around. Nice move by Dresser.
Good athletic
Boy,
talent.
they're both looking good.
They're real throwing some moves right here.
They really are. There was a tough angle on the knee of Dresser, so Mike Allen, the official from Waterloo, stopped it with 1:24. We're halfway through the first period, no score.
Well, they've been wrestling offense, that's for sure, and countering extremely well with defensive offense.
Now Bailey comes in and overhooks that arm. Used a 2-on-1 there, and Dresser's been able to counter off that very, very well with that tip.
All right, they're both using the inside trip. When one gets the underhook, the other one's using the inside trip. So this is you're seeing a lot of the freestyle technique that people learn now when they wrestle international. The inside trip. Now here's one of the first low-level shots that Dresser's in on, and he's in very good position up around the head. If he drives it hard, he's got a chance.
And he got the takedown. He got the first one, 2-0, favor of the Hawkeye.
He still has the half, and now it's a matter of taking away one of Bailey's outside posts if he's going to use it to be effective for the take.
He let Bailey go, 2-1. Now Bailey is going to have to make some headway against Dresser, or you don't want to keep being put back up on your feet and having the other man take you down. You want to show him you're even. And again, Dresser, though, is in on the leg.
A lot of freestyle maneuver here by Bailey, but he really hasn't controlled much. Now Dresser's got him on the takedown here. I'm not sure he has him in the back for near fall points. Yes, there he is, signaling the near fall.
And it's a 4-point move for Dresser. Makes it 6-1.
So here he comes in, and he just steps right back into the single. Now Bailey puts himself here by trying to throw it, but he doesn't get his hips out of the way because Dresser keeps the arm and the hip in close control to him.
Bailey asked for injury timeout. He's saying to his trainer here, I'm okay, but they're going to take him off anyway. I'm not sure what the complaint is. He may have just been kicked, I think.
Well, when he had the leg, Dresser had the leg, and Bailey tried to throw, he put himself down to his back, with a hard throw, and it may have lit, right in the groin area, with, Dresser's shoulder.
As we said, he took last year off, and has, I think, taken more of this year off than he'd like. As we said, there are a lot of good wrestlers at these first 5 weights for Oklahoma State, and Bailey's had trouble finding a place.
He feels comfortable and cocky enough, as that confidence that good athletes have, but Skov is just too controlled and beats him out all the time.
We're going to see Skov at 150 coming up next against Jim Heffernan. Iowa leads 12-3 here after 3 matches. A pin by Davis and a default, Randall over Smith. Smith looked like he might have separated his shoulder a little bit.
Well, he's got the leg in, and he's got Dresser off his base. It's become more effective now just to stay in this position down because the referees almost always call it a stalemate before they call it stalling. Now, Bailey's a little high now. He's let himself slide up a little high, and he may get reversed here, and if he does, he could go to his back.
Good athlete, though. He came out of it. Now it's a stalemate. See what you mean, Chuck. He called it a stalemate rather than... There's Josie, Leroy Smith on the right. Jesse Reyes is sitting the left of the screen. He was a national champion last year at Cal Bakersfield and came to Oklahoma State with his coach.
This is a dogfight so far, but those early points by Dresser just put him in the driver's seat, and he just jumped the gun a little bit on top. Didn't get set.
6-1. Leo Bailey from Bixby, Oklahoma. There's Mike Allen. Referee.
See him start a little different with that hand in a different position most boys are accustomed to. Puts the fingers down instead of up.
Dresser got to the feet.
He's got the head again now. Like with that head, he's going to the back.
He's got some back force. He's got Bailey in hot water.
He's in very good control here because he's out in front. Doesn't keep him from bridging through like that. That's outstanding.
Outstanding bridge.
Reversal right on into the head. That's
And
what makes that effective, Doug.
I'll tell you, the score is 11-1 here. 11-1, and it took a fine athletic move by Bailey to come out of that near fall position. He bridged up strongly and came away. Injury to Bailey. Hawkeyes came to wrestle tonight.
They are going wide open.
And at 118 on the one they lost, they were in there too. Matt Egeland gave Mark Perry the scare of his life before.
Well, it's that kind of intensity, Doug, that really makes them the national championship team year after year. And other coaches around the country and fans around the country want to make all kinds of excuses. You know, they want to lay it on the referee.
See what happens.
Watch him catch the head now. When he catches the head, look how he scoots his hips out now. Go right back to the head. So he comes right toward the head. And to really be effective at pinning a man, you have to get up toward his head, get in his face. And he's up there.
Boy, tough spot for Bailey. Now he goes into that bridge and was able to turn out of it.
You can see how he might have hurt his ribs in that position. Bridging that hard really strains it.
Well, the NCAA titles went to Oklahoma State for years, 27 of them, but look at the last year, 1971. Then it went elsewhere. Went to Iowa State in the 70s, then turned in the late 70s to Iowa, 9 up to 85.
And the way they're wrestling tonight, it's going to be 8 in a row for them.
Oh, I'll tell you.
10 titles for them.
Nationals are going to be wrestled in Oklahoma this year.
I don't think it would make any difference where it is the way they're wrestling tonight. They're just wrestling aggressive on all phases of wrestling. And that's what makes it very difficult to compete when you get good athletes trying to pin you, not just beat you. They're not trying to win close, they're trying to get after it.
Well, I go back to that Davis match, and several times he went in what would normally be a single leg position, but he went up top from it to throw the man to his back and did pin Brian Stevens. Well, there's the end of the second period. The score 11-1 in favor of Dresser, who got out big. He's had 2 near falls, a reversal, and 2 takedowns against Bailey. And now Bailey starts on the bottom. Third period, trailing by 10, now by 9.
Dresser intentionally released him. He's got that good low-level attack. And Bailey now will try to throw, I would imagine. The only way he can get in the match is to pin his man. He has that freestyle experience. So I imagine now, for him to be effective, he's going to have to try to get into a throwing position, take his man to the bat. If he can't do that, Heffernan will just continue to add up points.
11-2. No advantage yet.
Not for a while, but he's close.
Boy, it is now. And he has the inside, he has that inside crotch position, the Navy ride too. Try to lift the legs and get some back points if he can. He has 1 minute and 9 seconds to go with a 13-2 lead.
He's just going to cut loose, come back up to the head, start working toward the ball.
Stalemate. That's you see the Iowa bench in the back there. Well, they're all up on their feet. A couple of times tonight, Dan Gables had to pull Keith Moreland off the mat.
I think he's excited about this.
Yeah, he is.
Well, Dresser has just worn Bailey out.
Leo Bailey. This is a classy wrestler for Oklahoma State, and he's having a tough night. It's 15-2.
Well, he hasn't stopped with a couple of points, Doug.
I'll tell you, this could be a technical fall here.
He continues to stay right after it. When he gets in those positions where a lot of wrestlers would just hang on, well, he continues to move right toward the head with it.
Warning on the bottom.
He reaches through and catches that arm tight, but he lost it. He's going to try to get a tip right in here.
Dresser would like to tip him. If he could, it's over. As it stands, he would win by enough to make it 5 points for Iowa.
He's just controlling this position right now, letting the match come to an end.
Riding time, yes, he did have riding time. Plenty of it. Makes it 16-2 Dresser. And a big, superior decision for the Hawkeyes at 142 pounds. Dresser over Bailey. Happy coach Dan Gable. He says, well, okay, that's 4 of you. Now let's everybody else go out and do it.
Very impressive so far.
16-3 is the team score. The Hawkeyes over the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now we go to 150. You'd figure this ought to be a terrific match. Heffernan has been in a bit of a slump, wouldn't you say, Chuck, lately? He's lost a few.
Yes, he has, and he's lost them close, but he's been in a little bit of a slump. Now he's a regular 150-pounder wrestling Skov, who's a regular 142-pounder.
He ought to be slightly bigger, you'd think.
I would think that he should be able to execute some of the power moves against Skov.
Well, you talk about 4-time state champions. We've had a lot of them in Iowa. But Luke Skov is a 4-time high school title holder. Some people said he's the best wrestler ever to come out of New Jersey. He won 4 titles there.
Heffernan's about that ability out of Ohio, isn't he?
Yes.
Very effective.
2 titles.
He's wrestling wide open right now. You know, we haven't seen him wrestle this aggressive. Some of the other matches have been on TV.
150 at Carver Hawkeye Arena on Iowa Public Television. Same night coverage. It's the Cowboys and the Hawkeyes, and it's been the Hawkeyes so far.
I think they remember what happened down in Stillwater last year, don't you?
That's a tough place to wrestle. It's no tougher than here, I'd say. Heffernan, 2.
Well, that was a real nice snap down on Skov's penetrating shot where he got a little out of position, but Heffernan just countered him very nicely and snapped him down spinning behind.
2-1 on the escape. We've had a lot of scoring tonight in at least 2 of these matches. Davis win over Stevens and Dresser over Bailey. And pardon me if my scorekeeping doesn't always keep up with yours, because every time I look at the scoreboard, somebody else scores.
Makes it exciting to watch for the fan. And there he is in deep on a double. Now, you got to watch the edge here. If he goes over there with his knee, he's going to be called off. But he's carrying the action to Skov.
There's Barry Davis. Reminder that after 150 we'll have an intermission and meet Greg Randall, who won by default tonight over John Smith. We'll meet him off the mat.
This a very impressive match for Heffernan. We've seen him look like this in the past, and he was wrestling like this early in the year. But he just, as you said, has kind of been in a slump. And now he's got Skov from Oklahoma State called for stalling.
Outside single by Heffernan, lost it, carried on out of bounds. The Skov family has been a very fine wrestling family. I know there's Jude Skov at Ohio State right now, nationally ranked.
There's Matt Skov that used to wrestle down in the South and then transferred. There's been 4 boys in that family.
And a girl who's a referee, a sister who's a wrestling referee.
Now he's got him in that front headlock again now. Got the elbow up, and now he's lost the head to come back in on the underhip. Heffernan has just looked very impressive, Doug. Overpowering, you know, very aggressive.
150, he looks like his old self, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. I'm sure Coach Gable is very pleased with his performance.
Went after the double.
Win or lose, you know, if you can get athletes that have talent to wrestle this aggressively, it's not going to be very long before nobody can beat them because they just are overpowering. Sort of Barry Davis, Jim Zaleski type of attitude. Just been aggressive.
2 good athletes at work here. One move is countered by the other wrestler's move, is countered by somebody else's, and back and forth.
Very, very good.
That's
fun to watch this, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's Luke Skov on the left. Stalling on him. 3-1, that's a penalty. Heffernan blocked Skov's duck under right at the end of the period. And in the first period, it was Heffernan, 3-1.
The coaches from Oklahoma State want Skov to keep the pressure on Heffernan. They feel that Heffernan may not be able to stay with this kind of intensity.
Heffernan was redshirted last year. Came back, more mature this season and started out ranked #1, really tough. And then, as we said, it's been a little bit of a slump lately. But he's ahead here, 4-1 against Skov.
This is no slump and this is no fluke. He's wrestling very well.
Skov tried to get in, but underhooked by Heffernan. Heffernan stopped him a couple of times from those duck unders with underhooks.
And see, what's happened now is that for just here a brief moment, as Skov started to generate the offense, Heffernan needs to do what he did right there, get back on the offense himself.
Get back to the single leg.
There he rides. No takedown yet because the Wizard's still there.
That overhook on the arm by Skov has protected him here. The hip lock, they hear it sometimes called.
There he let go of the Wizard. Heffernan still doesn't have the takedown. He's in position. He just has to cover the hip on the far side. This is good athletic talent, Doug. Lesser athletes would be taken down now. I think he's in position now if he can just get his head cleared. Starting to crawl up the body.
That's right. Still the Wizard. Skov still has it now. The limp arm is out. 6-1 Heffernan. Took a long time, but he got it.
They worked hard for that. Very hard for that. Both athletes.
Skov now down by 5.
Well, he's not used to being down that far either. Big 8 champion, 5th in the Nationals last year.
And only a junior. He's from Long Branch, but that's not Long Branch in the West. That's Long Branch, New Jersey. Now Skov's out, 6-2. He's only had 2 escapes, though, and Heffernan has had 2 takedowns. And that'll tell you the difference so far. Iowa 17, Oklahoma State 3. Did I tell you 16 a while ago? 17.
It's interesting to watch the intensity of the match. And see how the athletes participate. And stay on the offense, stay on the defense, attack, counterattack. Sort of the aesthetics of the sport.
Heffernan, there's Ed Bannock, Olympic gold medalist. And his name has been mentioned too at Iowa State. He threw his hat in the ring.
There's going to be a lot of hats in the ring before that's over.
There's Dan Gable.
Maybe his hat will be in the ring.
Well,
new challenge.
Dan Gable, the coach of this team that is really ready to go tonight. Iowa leads 17-3 over Oklahoma State and leads in the match at 150. Heffernan was up 6-2, now it's 6-3.
We just kind of cut him loose on purpose there with that little stand on the head, hips out maneuver. It's back on the offense. That's what'll be interesting to watch. Who will go with the offensive?
Gable came out to the edge of the mat, says, "Don't do that, Jim. Get him, get him."
So he wants him to go back enough. He started fast and was doing a great job, and he still is. But it slowed down a little bit. I'm sure fatigue is part of that.
Skov made the last couple of shots. Heffernan had to block. And Skov made another one.
He's got to be able to get past that ammunition of Heffernan's, which is his power.
Heffernan was warned in there.
Slid on off the mat.
That's Joe C. telling his man to go same way. Skov has been very aggressive here in the last minute or two.
He has been, and Heffernan's just been able to shut him off on all the offense. And I'm sure that that's frustrating a little bit. His penetration hasn't been in, it's been sideways. When he came in, Heffernan's been able to block his motion, keep him from coming, and then come right back through him.
6-3, Skov came in on the leg, couldn't quite bring his hips in with him far enough to do it. Both look a little tired to me.
I think that anybody would tire. These guys have gone at a fast tempo. I've said that before in the show. You have to do this once or twice in your life, or even 30 seconds to a minute, to realize just how much fatigue and how quickly it sets in.
6-3.
Nice counterattack right there by Heffernan. Skov made the offensive moves. Heffernan came right back to him. So his shots are just a little too far away, and he's able to shut him off. Now there's a deep penetrating shot with a high crotch.
But it's out of bounds. I'll tell you, Dan Gable is really prowling the sidelines tonight. He's up on his feet going back and forth. He looks like he's wrestling himself. See him? That's where he's been all night. Up, up, up. Heffernan leading by 3. Injury timeout called by Skov.
I'm not too sure what happened to him, but it looks like he's sick.
Well, oh yeah, he's
he's hanging on to the referee
to
keep from falling over, like he's about ready to pass out. He's got glassy eyes.
Oh, that's peculiar.
He's almost like he's almost out on his feet.
Well, I don't know what happened. We'll have to wait and see.
Otherwise, who knows what can happen.
Yeah, he's apparently not feeling well, and the trainer's out working on him. This happened here in the 3rd period with the score 6-3 and 21 seconds to go in the match. Now the Iowa trainer's coming out. See the relative NCAA finishes of these two teams. Iowa in the last 5 years, uno the whole time. Oklahoma State, close.
One of the reasons why they've made this change. They want to get that one over on that side under the cowboy hat.
While we have this break, I want to tell you that last year, Iowa Public Television presented 6 programs called Angling Iowa with host Rick Geisler. And they were very popular with viewers. And so this year, in addition to the original 6 programs, you can enjoy another 7 that include such things as winter fishing, fishing in a farm pond, muskie fishing at Spirit Lake, other new and exciting adventures. So join Rick Geisler on Fridays at 8:30 for a new season of Angling Iowa. The programs will be repeated on Saturday mornings at 10:30. I'm not sure what happened, but Skov just suddenly seemed to lose control of himself, as if he didn't know, as if he'd blacked out or something.
That's right. It didn't look like there was any blow there, but it looked like all of a sudden he just didn't have his faculties.
Well, and he has 20 seconds to go, and he's going to finish it. He trails by 3. And he's going to give it a good 20 seconds.
It's not enough because really Heffernan just out-wrestled him totally in this match.
Skov's had no takedowns. Heffernan's had 2. And there it is.
Strong performance by Jim Heffernan.
No riding time advantage. You see, Skov can't even get up. I'm not sure what the problem is, but
I'm not sure he knows where he is.
No, he's really exhausted it, or man, I don't know. 7-3 is the score, and Luke Skov is being helped off the mat here. 6-3, Heffernan over Skov at 150. And we've come to intermission with the score, Iowa 20, and who would have believed it? The Cowboys 3. There are Greg Randall's parents.
Yes.
Iowa 20, Oklahoma State 3. Randall was the winner tonight on a default. It's been a tough night tonight for Oklahoma State. There's Northern Iowa versus Iowa State on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock here on Iowa Public Television. Happy to bring you that one. Remember last year, Northern Iowa upset Iowa State, shifted their lineup a little bit and came out on top. We'll have that for you at 9 o'clock on Iowa Public Television. We're here at Carver Hawkeye Arena. At 150 pounds, you saw Luke Skov begin to stagger around the mat. He stopped once, went back, finished the mat, and then went into what looked like hyperventilation again. And he just was not coming around. And so there are obviously in a crowd like this, there were physicians everywhere. They were down here immediately. And so Luke Skov was taken off the out of the arena on a stretcher, sure to be taken over to University Hospitals and have looked at, make sure everything is okay. We'll get a report later if we can on what happened. We won't speculate on what it really amounted to. Everybody was talking about hyperventilation. It acted like that, but he just didn't seem to snap away from it, snap out of it. And that's too bad because John Smith earlier at 134 landed on his shoulder and suffered what looked like maybe even a separation. Here we go at 158. Iowa rolling it up tonight. Boy, Gable has these guys ready to go. And this is a horsing match here at 58 between Kistler and Dykeman, ranked numbers 1 and 2. Marty Kistler, number 1. Bill Dykeman, number 2 for the Cowboys.
I don't think either one of these athletes is going to back off from the other one. Dykeman has, in the past, wrestled a much more controlled type of offense. Not a lot of offense, not a lot of shots, but when he would go, he would be successful with it. And Kistler, I think, is going to force the action and either create offense or make Dykeman get called for stalling because he's going to be busy in this.
At 158, we'll go back to the middle again. Mark Perry was the winner for Oklahoma State at 118, 9-4, but Egelin gave him a heck of a match. And then the Hawkeyes went to work. Davis pinned Stevens. Actually, it was a technical fall in fairly short order. And at 134, Greg Randall won the default over John Smith. That was unfortunate for the Cowboys. 142, Kevin Dresser, boy, 16-2, he beat Leo Bailey. And Jim Heffernan beat Luke Stove 6-3 at 150. And that's where we are now, 20-3. Kistler and Dykeman at 158 pounds.
Well, they've been busy, Doug, but they haven't been effective. And that part of it is because they're such good athletes, they can counter the other man out. As I said, I think that Kistler from Iowa is going to try to create an offense here, make Dykeman wrestle. Dykeman is outstanding talent. And if he ever gets started on offense, can be very dangerous. But he tends to wrestle a lot under control. And they both have some freestyle throwing ability. Under control, we'll see what happens.
They've used just about a minute of the first period. Hawkeyes well out in front here in this battle between first and second. A warning against Dykeman.
Well, he can go offense. And don't let anybody get lulled to sleep by the fact that he might get warned for stalling. He's got a lot of offense. He just doesn't use it a lot. And it'll be interesting to see if the warning gets him to get started again, because if he doesn't and he has a referee like Mike Allen and he's not busy and not active, then it's not inconceivable that he get penalized here still in the first period. So he started to stay in a little bit. But neither man has really made that committed effort that we saw in some of the earlier matches. It was just kind of out of control, but very aggressive.
There's tonight's special guest to Dan Gable. He's sitting right next to Dan. When Dan is sitting, that's Zachary Goldsmith. He attends Horn School in Iowa City. Still no score here at 158. The battle between the Titans, numbers 1 and number 2 at this weight in the country.
Well, if you're not a real connoisseur of wrestling and you just come to see a lot of scoring, you see two athletes this caliber and there's not a lot of scoring, not much looks like it's taking place, you tend to think, well, that's really boring. You know, these guys aren't very good. But part of the reason there's not a lot of scoring is that they are so good. They shut the other man off.
There's a point.
It started already. Kistler's taking the action to him, wrestling aggressively.
Well, Kistler, those are some of the Gable children. There they are. They can afford, they can smile. The whole family's smiling so far. It's 20-3 after 150 pounds for the Hawks. Dykeman wants time. He's trailing 1-0 on a penalty point in the first period.
Well, it sounds like it happens fast, but that's been 2.5 minutes for all practical purposes, and Kistler's kept the pressure on. That's about all I can say. He's just stayed after him, stayed in, even though there's times when he backs up. He hasn't done anything. It's just that he's putting the pressure on his opponent.
They're both staying upper body, too.
The way
nothing like a leg shot so far.
Right.
There's one.
There's one.
For Kistler.
He's wrestling like he's the top of the heap, isn't he?
He is.
And he is the top of the heap.
Do you think Dan Gable wanted this match, this meet?
Yeah, here he comes in. Now watch him reach across and block that other knee with his foot. Just Sweeps across there with that foot and then shifts his hips to the other side to score the 2-point takedown.
I'll repeat it again. Do you think he had him ready? He was aiming for this one? After 2 dual meet losses in the last 2 years to Oklahoma State?
There's no question that he was aiming for it. And I think he's also aiming for the way his wrestlers are wrestling right now is the way he wants them to wrestle going into that national tournament. Aggressive, wide open, don't save it, don't hold back.
There's a point for Dykeman. Makes it 3-1. The escape. And it came right at the end of the period. Dykeman gets his choice, and he'll take down.
Kind of changed his mind after he initially set up.
That record includes 2 years at Louisiana State before last year at Oklahoma State. In high school once he won 80 straight matches.
Isn't that outstanding? I mean, to win 80 in a row in anything, tiddlywinks, horseshoes.
Kistler on top with a 3-1 lead.
He's putting a lot of pressure toward the head and trying to keep him from getting up. Once he gets up, Dykeman can be very effective at fighting hands. And now here's the leg that came in just more or less to stop the escape. There's the side lift. Good lift. Good pressure.
3-1 Kistler, 158 pounds. Joe C. Well, he had some terrific wrestlers at Bakersfield.
And they could wrestle at every level. You know, they'd go to Division I and win it also.
Including the international.
That's right.
Avizano and
Joe Gonzalez.
Joe Gonzalez. Wrestlers in the lighter weights. They could take you down all night.
And Kistler is not letting Dykeman wrestle his tempo. That's something that you see take place in this match. Knowing Dykeman from Oklahoma State.
3-2. Dykeman was just penalized for backing off. And that's the second time. The next time will be 2. It's 4-2 Kistler. Kistler does not have riding time. He was up for 46 seconds. He doesn't have the minute that you have to get.
As I indicated now, he's already had that warning and penalty twice, been penalized, and he has to wrestle his tempo in order to be very effective. And what's happening is that Kistler's not letting him wrestle his tempo. Even though he's not scoring a lot on the offense and he's not doing a lot on offense, Kistler basically is creating the pressure.
These are the numbers 1 and 2 ranked wrestlers. Kistler leading 4-2 is number 1. Dykeman's number 2. See, he doesn't want to tie up. He's staying away from Kistler, but he doesn't dare take too many backward steps.
Not in this referee, he doesn't. This referee could cost him dearly. And this referee, by the way, was voted the outstanding official in the Nationals last year.
Well, how'd they get in here, huh? Iowa State people in the Iowa crowd. Of course, it's all big wrestling state, Iowa. Dan Gable will talk to his wrestler as Bill Dykeman mops up with a towel. A minute ago, he was yelling out to Kistler, offense, offense. And I'm sure that's what he's telling him right now.
He's getting offense. Now, he isn't getting offense in the stand.
Those are some of the All-Americans we were telling you about. Jesse Reyes is on the sidelines here as an Oklahoma State coach. He was the national champion at 142 pounds last year.
Yeah, those are not just All-Americans, they're national champions.
Oh, yes.
Winners.
Number 1. 158. 20 seconds. A lot of going out of bounds here in this period.
As you said, Gable was saying to Kistler, offense. It isn't really as much offense as just pressure.
Warning against Kistler this time. Josie is telling his wrestler, don't tie up. Don't tie up. Now that has to be 2 points. It's a penalty against Dykeman for backing away. And one more, it's disqualification.
There's only 2 minutes left in this entire match.
2.
Here's one now. Somebody that's a Kistler fan.
Mike Allen is the man. He called that. And Dykeman is going to have to go flat out now. You don't want to be in a position like this.
He's a little frustrated. He just hasn't been able to do what he wants to do.
He puts the leg in on, well, he tried to put the leg in.
Yeah, that was, Kistler caught the heel coming in, and Dykeman's done 2 or 3 types of things to stop Kistler. Kistler's worked very well on the offense. Dykeman's just stopped him with it. Now, what he'd like to do is throw that hip up over the head in order to be able to whip him to his back.
There's a shot from the sidelines, Carver Hawkeye Arena. A lot of people here tonight. We're trying to estimate the crowd. I don't have a figure. Big house, as you might expect, between the numbers 1 and 2 teams. 158 pounds. It's Iowa 20 and Oklahoma State 3 coming into this match. Kistler leads 6-2, but the big story here is that Dykeman has been penalized 3 times for stalling. 4 of those points are on stalling.
As it comes to, it has to do basically with just generating an offense. That's real fine maneuvers on both athletes here. It just takes Hecky's athletes, you know, to have great talent. Physical ability to do that.
Joe C. in the red shirt under the blue jacket in the background with Leroy Smith sitting next to him.
They caught him in a jam that time, stopped him on the whistle. Now we'll see if he can do anything. In order to get in this match, he has to be able to affect an offense, take his man over.
Dykeman of Oklahoma State. Kistler is almost on his feet, but the ankle pick by Dykeman cut that move off. We're in the last minute.
Well, now he's got Kistler slowed down now. You know, this is a place where he hasn't been very effective when he's down the mat. Dykeman's taken some of his offense away by knocking him down and keeping him down here.
6-2 is the score in favor of Kistler. They're a little slower coming to the center now.
Yes, it's really a very close match outside of those penalty calls.
You know, it was 2-2 outside of that. There's Keith Moreland, the Iowa coaching staff.
He looks a little more casual than what he did when he was early in the meet.
Barry Davis up on his feet. He went to work and got a technical fall tonight, 21-6 over Brian Stevens at 126 pounds, the first Iowa win. Less than half a minute. Stalling on the bottom.
Yes, he just penalized him for stalling on the bottom.
And that's
not trying to build up enough and get going.
It's a point for Dykeman.
Dykeman now has a chance to turn him over if he uses it. Didn't move up fast enough with it. Kistler just has really not responded well on the bottom. Made some offensive moves.
Stalled him again on the bottom. That makes it 6-4. But there's the end of the match, and that's it. I'll tell you what we had there. 2 escapes by Dykeman, a single leg takedown by Kistler, and all the rest penalties.
Yes.
6-4. Kistler is the winner, and it's 3 points for the Hawkeyes. 23-3, the Hawkeyes over the Cowboys. And that means Kistler will keep his #1 ranking. Here comes another brother in the Kistler family. This is Lindley at 167 against a freshman from Allentown, Pennsylvania, wrestling for the Cowboys, Dwayne Peoples.
Kind of a last-minute substitute. We don't know much about him. 13-10 means he's had some losses to people maybe that are pretty good. They wrestle a very hefty schedule at Cowboy Country. But Kistler's just really an outstanding athlete, second in the nation.
Last year he's not rated right now, but that's because he's been injured a good part of the year. You see the black brace on his left knee. In the orange, the Cowboy colors, is Dwayne Peoples. Lindley Kistler in the Iowa black.
Well, I'd anticipate if he catches on the fire that the rest of the team had coming into that first 4 or 5 weights, that he'd get this thing going. But the last match kind of slowed the tempo of the meet and the crowd down.
Yes, it did. The crowd is not doing much, but just sort of watching quietly now.
Now they're just kind of observers now rather than into it. So maybe that's what happens when you have one of those intermissions.
Yes, I've seen that happen a lot this year, you know, haven't you? things tend to calm down. People go out for concessions and come back, and everybody's a little quieter.
That's right, especially when you get somebody like Barry Davis early in your lineup. Get everybody all riled up, and then it gets the next man riled up, and pretty soon you get them all going. I think they're going to open up here pretty soon. And both men have made some starts.
That's the man who beat Barry Davis in the Olympic finals, and he's in Iowa City.
Working with Barry Davis.
I don't know if he's working with Barry Davis. The last I talked to the Barry said he wasn't wrestling with him. Takedown Kistler.
He got a real nice in on the leg, and he came up and blocked that offside knee and drove his body right on through his opponent. Now he has the wrist tied up. Now this is where they get those hip tilts. The man lets him have the arm, then he can come back in and tuck underneath him and tip him for 2 more.
That came with about a minute and a half gone in the first 3-minute period. Back to the center. Lindley Kistler, he wrestled a year at Arizona State, runner-up in the Pac-10. Came to Iowa, sat out a year, and then last year was the Big Ten champion and the national runner-up.
He had a great tournament for the Hawkeyes last year. He wrestles with a lot of authority when he's on.
Peoples, nice move.
Real nice reversal. He came in with the leg, and Peoples just wheeled around, used the leg as a post, and turned around it.
Lindley may have had a little lapse in the tension there, just for a moment.
All right.
2-2.
Peoples is trying to stay with him, but he doesn't control the hips very well. So here's Kistler cutting away for his point.
3-2 with about 50 seconds to go in the first period. 3-2 Iowa here. Kistler leading. The team leads 23-3.
A lot of good penetration on that high crouch, and then he got to his feet. Try to lift the leg. Takes him toward his back.
Yeah. He has the man on his back. Top spot. 5-2 for the takedown.
He's going to get 3 more out of this.
He's going to have 3 on the near fall.
He's got to get that leg free, I think. There he goes.
8-2 now. 5-point move for Lindley Kistler. Boy, that puts it up almost out of sight for Kistler. The end of the first period. And that put the crowd back in it, too.
Yes, it does. It's nothing like back points. People get turned to their back, and it just gets the crowd all fired up. Watch how he comes to the leg now. He'll come across here and just block that knee. See, just hips in, then he reaches up, blocks the head. Now, primarily now it's just balance, so he doesn't get elevated. See how he's all spread out. Drives his hips all the way to the other side and catches him on his back.
A report from Phil Hattie that from the University Hospital at Jude Scove is fine. He was taken after the 150-pound match because he seemed to be hyperventilating and couldn't.
I think he went into a seizure there.
Yeah,
and
almost.
They just couldn't slow him down.
But he seems to be fine. Now, there's a caution against the man on the bottom, Peoples. You know, there's a certain amount of disbelief always when Iowa teams go down to wrestle in Oklahoma and Oklahoma teams come to wrestle in Iowa. They always figure it's a different world.
Very nice. Critical here is that the leg is keeping Peoples in, but it's also keeping him from getting out. As long as Kistler controls that head, he's going to be able to get that reversal.
And it's 10-2.
He's totally dominating. Even though Peoples has done some fairly nice things, Kistler's just too good an athlete. Too many clear-cut skills that are more defined.
Now, Peoples, to say, is a freshman from Allentown, Pennsylvania. So far as I know, he was not a state champion. We have 9,583 people in Carver Hawkeye Arena tonight. 9,583.
I think they were looking for a sellout, don't you?
Well, I know Gary Kirtlemeyer was. Of course, you know, you're looking for a
sell out every time.
Sell out every time.
You couldn't look for your wrestlers to wrestle much sharper than these Hawkeyes have. Really, they have just kept a lot of pressure on the Cowboys.
Cradle
like this where they block them off. You know, near escapes turn into back points for them. So they just have wrestled very sharp. Clearly superior team.
They just look. They look like it's a tournament. I'll tell you.
The national tournament.
10-2, an 8-point lead for Kistler, and riding time.
They're putting a lot of heat on them. You know, these two teams haven't wrestled during the year. There's been plenty of opportunities, and Iowa doesn't run away from anybody. And so I sometimes wonder if maybe you want to see the Hawkeyes a few more times than just one time before you get into that national tournament. Even though you may not have the sterling record, you want to see these guys in tournaments and get an idea what the best are doing. You got to go where they are.
Well, at least on TV, huh?
That's right.
We're not seen in Oklahoma so far as I know. There is Joe C. And the young man on the right who looks like it's been a tough night, and it has been, is Leroy Smith.
Well, they got a couple boys on the bench with ice bags on their shoulders, and one in the hospital. Has not been a good year for him.
Lindley Kistler leads 10-2. He's piling up a lot of riding time. He will get a riding time point because there's no way to. I can see he's going to lose it. 10-2 at the end of the second period. That's Leroy Smith on the right. Of course, there was that big controversy in the Olympics when Leroy Smith and Randy Lewis both wanted to be the Olympic 136-pounder. And Leroy Smith, whose brother had to default earlier in this meet, was the one unlucky enough not to make it. And Randy Lewis went on to win a gold medal after a fine performance.
That's a nice cutaway, stand-up cutaway by Young Peoples. Kistler just followed it very nicely. Right back in now. He's got him toward his back right now. He's got the arm, got the shoulder posted. It's kind of a matter now of just taking his time. He's got the hip blocked with that downside leg. Very tough spot right here.
Now it's it. There it is. Well, that picked the crowd up. A fall for Lindley Kistler in 5 minutes and 27 seconds. And look at the score. The Hawkeyes 29 and the Cowboys 3. And that 3 wasn't easy to come by.
No, that was a tough, hard-earned 3.
Through the last 6 matches, Iowa has piled up 29 points, and they still have 3 good wrestlers to go. Oklahoma State has a nationally ranked heavyweight, Kalen O'Hara. And here we're going to see Rico Ciparelli, a sophomore, off a redshirt year now, against Chuck Kearney. Now this Kearney, a freshman from Portland, Oregon, had an unbelievable high school record. Naturally, he's going through a few growing pains in college. It isn't as easy as it was in high school, but he's 17-9, and the Cowboys expect great things from this fellow.
Well, he's out of Oregon,
right,
and had a great freestyle, especially freestyle and Greco career out there in the off season. But he's going to try some of that stuff with Ciparelli, and you never know what's going to happen when you wrestle a guy like Rico.
Well, I wonder if I would hope for Kearney's sake that he's seen Ciparelli, because Ciparelli does some unusual things, as we know.
Yes. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is almost get him.
Yeah.
You better either get him or not get him at all, because almost getting him can sometimes get you back.
Kearney under the arms.
That was an attempted arm throw by Ciparelli, but his balance kept him from getting taken down. I think she's winking at you, Doug. Going to deny that.
Hate to break her heart, but we have other things to do here. Tell you about Rico Ciparelli and Chuck Kearney. You know, Chuck, that Kearney in high school was taken down in his entire high school career one time.
It sounds unbelievable. Here's going to be his second time, not in high school, but he might get taken down to his back.
2-0. And say it again, this Iowa coaching staff had the Hawkeyes ready for Oklahoma State.
Now, Chiparelli is a pinner, and he just came out right away, right after the crossface, and attacked right away. He doesn't get a lot of his falls on generating offense from the top position, but he's after it in this position. And Kearney, of course, being a freestyle Greco man, is not real accustomed to getting out on the bottom. They tend to lay down a little bit when you're accustomed to freestyle.
We've said it before, but although he had a redshirt year last year, that first year or two, even the best of them out of high school have trouble on the bottom in college.
Yes, it's a real difficult spot. And of course, the way they're starting to call the calls anymore, we're liable to see riding time only last a year or two more, because they don't give them a chance to do very much on top, and they might as well just get rid of it.
48 seconds counting down now, last minute of the first period.
We see stop the move, but Kearney hasn't done anything to improve himself. So Chiparelli still has arm control and still controlling the hips. Kearney's he has to build up and get hand control himself. When he goes down, he loses the base. That puts him in a lot of trouble down here.
He's working works the cross face, and well,
once you have an arm tied up like that, you can see there's nothing underneath him, no hinges. So Chiparelli has a chance to either attack the leg and take the hip over, posting the shoulder, or get out around the head. He can't just stay over it. Now, people don't understand that, but he has to move off of that. He's got him all tied up. He's got to do something with it. Move out and try to turn him with it. No, just hold him there.
Say Chiparelli's a pinner. In his freshman year at Iowa, he won 25 matches, 18 of them by pin. And when he was in high school, he had 119 wins and 84 falls.
You can see if you watch him how he gets a lot of it. They're not necessarily in this position. A lot of them are, as I indicated earlier, when you almost take him down or you almost break him down.
Let's see that takedown
Watch him
again.
Step back, just steps in around the leg, blocks it. Now he drives his hips right back across. He's got his arms out for a post, gets the 2-point takedown.
Kearney had the choice. Started up 2-0. Here comes Chiparelli around, and there's the
thing that he does. And the guy almost blocks him off. He just has the ability, that great balance. And you saw some real fine balance right there when he was just wheeling to get free and then get in behind his opponent. Instead of digging in and grabbing a hold, he just continued to spin over the top.
4-0 in the first 30 seconds of the second period. Iowa 29, the Cowboys 3. 2 pins, a default, a technical fall, a superior decision.
Really, Chiparelli is controlling this match about as much as Iowa is controlling the meet. It's kind of typical of the way the meet's gone for the Cowboys. Can't do much right. Whatever Iowa wants to do, they pretty much do.
Kearney scores for the first time. There was a warning in there, by the way, against Kearney. So each man has been warned for some form of stalling, inactivity. Timeout for a shoelace. Mike Allen said that
you try to back up and the other guy step on your lace.
Ready to go. 50 seconds to go in the second period. Chiparelli comes in on the outside single.
Nice move. What he did was he stepped over to the right first, like he was going to take a single to his right, and then came back across to the other leg.
6-1.
Nice takedown. This is that trouble spot when you lose those hips and lay down. Chiparelli takes him away from him and then comes into that position. Now he knows he's got him for a warning here, so now he's trying to get into that cradle position.
Cross face into the cradle. He got it. He got it.
Takes him over right away.
There it is.
There's that pinning ability.
4 minutes and 42 seconds into the fifth. As Chiparelli has picked up the third fall. Is that the third? Well, actually, let's take a look at it.
He's got the cradle now. He doesn't worry about the leg. He just goes on over, kicks the leg off, knee hard into the side, shoulder down.
It's the second fall in a row. Now, I'll tell you, everybody on this Iowa team has just been going after their man all the way. Now, Goldman does it usually anyway. About as tough as you can go, and I'd be interested in seeing what he's like. Ranked number 1, Bob Kopecki is his opponent. Senior from Waukesha, Wisconsin, who's wrestled for 2 colleges. Started out at Wisconsin, went to Nevada, Las Vegas, and Nevada, Las Vegas dropped its team. That was why Kopecki showed up at Oklahoma State, and so did Kalen O'Hara, who'll be up next.
He's kind of wrestling on his feet at some of those freestyle maneuvers where he's just turning his back. This whizzer could hurt either man's shoulder, so I think it's going to take him off the mat.
190 pounds. Big crowd watching Iowa annihilate Oklahoma State.
Goldman gives those little touch fakes, and then all of a sudden he steps in, starts to power through his opponent. That whizzer has saved Kopecki 3 times now.
Goldman in the black, the Hawkeye black, and Bob Kopecki in the Sooner orange. And not the Sooner, but the Cowboy orange.
Yeah.
Can't mix them up.
There's that whizzer for the 4th time to save him. It's just a position where neither man has much of a chance to improve. Good way to hurt shoulders. Hear the referee giving a signal, so they're just going to get out of it. Well, Goldman does so well, Doug, as he just pecks away at your shoulders. Just cuff on your head, touch on your shoulder. And his hands are reaching out at you, but they don't always stay very long on you. So he puts his hands on you from that open position. The next time, instead of putting them on you, he just shoots right through you. It'd be interesting to see if he does that again so he can pick it up. Looks like he's going to grab you, he doesn't. He pokes you. Looks like he's going to tie up to you, doesn't. So there's one where he just kind of puts it in. There he's in, right back in again.
On the outside single.
And he's trying to limp arm the whizzer now in order to get that 2-point takedown.
And he got it.
He's got him broken down after the takedown. Hips on the mat. Still has the ankle tied up.
2-0. Kopecki of OSU went out. There's the Iowa bench. Gable.
So here he limp arms, so he catches the arm, but he pulls it on out anyway and then comes on into the takedown.
Dan was on his feet that whole first half, and he's sat down a little more in the second half and hasn't made a lot of difference.
Oh, it's just they totally dominated. He's now can relax and take one more win in his side of the column. Now he's got that leg scissored.
Stalemate.
They want him to go over. He has
Goldman
a bloody
has a nosebleed, yes.
They want him to go over and put something inside of it. He doesn't care about it. He wants to wrestle.
Yeah. Says okay. That's Bob Kopecki from Waukesha, Wisconsin. He was a U.S. Wrestling Federation champion as a Greco wrestler.
That's where you want to throw the guy from your feet, not where you want to be down with the Dwayne Goldman on top of you and your hips flat on the mat. That gets you in a lot of trouble. Goldman's got pressure on him, and see, this is the kind of the throwback to the freestyle Greco, as I've alluded to before. Those hips go down, and that's the way you defend yourself, because the referee will eventually put you on your feet. In this style, that's going to get you called for stalling, or you're going to get hurt by turn to your back.
Bottom man is called for stalling, Kopecki.
Now you see him scissor that leg from the inside out. There's no way to get free from that. It's contrary to the way you normally would free yourself from a leg.
So the end of the first period has Goldman up by 2, and again he has to go mop up because of a bloody nose. That's the Cowboy bench. Things are gloomy there because it's been a tough night. Mark Perry won a tough match at 118, and then the roof fell in. And there's Dan Gable, who was up on the roof with the crew, highly responsible for seeing that it collapsed.
Yes, he was. And it's a little more devastating sometimes when you think you have a chance to win. This team came in thinking that they had their lineup shifted around just right to be able to go with the Hawkeyes.
Jesse Reyes on the left, last year's national 142-pound champion. Now, Kopecky gets a chance to start on top.
Well, he stopped Goldman on the whistle, but Goldman didn't do much, and then he gradually just built himself up to his feet. And he'll try to do now is just fight hands to get free, build himself in the tripod, build back up, score his escape.
3-0. Again, the whizzer position. It's funny how two wrestlers' styles will work out that way, and they'll end up in that position.
That's right. Now you'll see Goldman just put his hands out there. He just reaches out and touches. You know, he does it again, just grabs fingers this time, but you'll see that the majority of the time. It makes him very effective. Not real fancy, but it's very effective because you don't know when he's going to put his hands on you and when he's going to come right on through you and shoot. There's one right on through.
But it was on the edge of the mat. 1:19 to go in the second period. 3-0 Goldman. He's having a little trouble with a nosebleed, but
he's not going to worry about it.
No, it's just a minor annoyance. Again, the single leg.
Now watch him try to reach across and block the knee on the far side. Well, he stepped in behind this time.
He's trying
to take. There's the block on the other
that whizzer.
Side. Yeah, there's the block on the other side. Takes it to him.
5-0 Goldman on his second takedown.
If he can't turn Kopecky over here, I wouldn't doubt to see him let him go and try to take him down again.
Goldman has not been a pinner. He won one pin last year, one the year before, out of 65 wins.
He's much more of a takedown wrestler, head banger, isn't he?
Run. Warning against Goldman.
What he's saying basically is he's failing to improve his position. He's staying parallel to his man instead of getting out and being perpendicular.
I think he's going to let him go. Yes, Gable said let him go and start from top. Play takedown.
Yeah,
5-1.
He will. Now Kopecky reached out to him first, got his hands on him. You don't want to let him keep on coming. Now here's Goldman back in. Nice limp arm back out.
Goldman has gone to that left leg, and Kopecky's been in the whizzer position many, many times here tonight. This time there's a warning against Kopecky. Well, that's going to have to be a penalty.
Yes, it was.
6-1.
Right back in.
And again.
He wants to fight that whizzer. Watch him reach across and block that far side knee. Come right on through him. Good penetrating offense. His pressure and his momentum carry right on through his opponent.
Now Goldman's reached him twice in the last minute or so.
Well, and he won't let him go now with only 5 seconds to go in this period or so. So watch him block that knee. See how his body carries right on through. He comes all the way from the middle of the mat, all the way to the edge of the mat with that takedown technique.
There's the period coming to an end. Kopecky can't get out here. 8-1 is the score at the end of the second period. And Goldman's going to start on top. I suspect he'll let him go.
You see how he starts. If he starts in a freestyle start with his hands on the back, then he'll cut him loose. If he doesn't, he gets down on top, he might try to jam him, cut him down, and hip tilt him.
Yeah, he's going to try it.
See if he can't get him to his back. No, he's just going to cut him loose now when he gets up.
Okay, 8-2 is the score. Kopecky gets his second escape. Kopecky's been penalized for a point already. Here comes Goldman on a counter. Now this is the kind of thing that's going to happen as the match goes on and Kopecky realizes he's going to have to score somehow.
Well, the more he's going to try to score, if his technique isn't outstanding, he's going to get taken down again because Goldman's just going to overwhelm him with his offense. His conditioning is so good that as you get fatigued, Goldman continues to pile up points. He's still operating at a much higher efficiency level.
This time Goldman lets him go. 10-3.
Just touch once and go, or maybe even not once. There's twice.
Goldman's had single legs all over the place on that left leg.
So when he catches the leg, now what he wants to do is pull it up to him first and then come on through and block the far side knee. Pretty much doing what he wants to do in this respect. Now, no matter how much he's going to win by.
He got it again.
And he blocks that. He keeps right on walking, right on running, right into his opponent.
12-4. An 8-point lead for Goldman.
They didn't let that whizzer become effective.
There's Steve Wilbur, who has to be the underdog at heavyweight against Kalen O'Hara, but the way this Iowa team has been going tonight and the way Oklahoma State has been going, be interesting to see what that one will bring. The crowd is certainly going to be pushing Wilbur.
He's right back in. He stays on his feet and walks right on in, then blocks that knee, carries his body right on through.
This time he's out of bounds.
Young guys could learn so much from that. Fans, if they understood why you go down, you know, it's just because the man, Iowa in this case, Goldman, is carrying his body on through his opponent.
Well, he got that leg again.
Right on through it.
14-4.
He doesn't just reach out and grab it. He reaches and his body's walking at the same time.
But I must say, more and more as the match goes on, when he takes a grab for the left leg, he's shooting at a stationary target more and more.
Right.
That is Kalen O'Hara. He'll be up next at heavyweight. He's ranked number 4, senior from Las Vegas, Nevada. He'll be wrestling Steve Wilbur. Goldman in the black from Iowa, again in on the left leg. Boom, 2 more, 16-4, 16-5.
Well, he's done the same thing about 5 times in a row. That single that goes into his right.
He's had 5 singles on that side for takedowns.
Comes across and blocks the off knee with his left hand.
And he got 1 on a counter, and that's counts for 6 takedowns.
He's going to try to turn him again here.
And there it is. It's a major decision. Well, actually a superior because he did have riding time. And it's 17-5 for Dwayne Goldman. And who'd have thunk it? Huh? Going into the heavyweight match, it's 40 for Iowa and 3 for the Cowboys. And this isn't podunk, this Oklahoma State team.
This is the 2nd best team in the United States that's just getting severely thrashed.
Now here at heavyweight, the favored man is Kalen O'Hara, number 4 ranked, 21-5. He's had a lot of experience, and he's a 2-time All-American. He placed in the Nationals at Nevada, Las Vegas before their program was discontinued. Steve Wilbur from Indianola.
They're kind of locked up in a power position here, both pushing into the other man, trying to get control of the arms, either into or over the arms.
They almost got a cheerleader or 2 that time.
There's some of that same walking in technique that we saw Goldman doing. O'Hara from Oklahoma State almost walked right through Wilbur that time. Just carried him off the mat. There's a lot of just kind of sparring right here. 2 men that don't see each other very much, aren't too sure what the other person's going to do, so they just don't get started. See some of those lighter weights, they didn't know what each other's going to do, but they got started on their own. And they didn't wait for somebody to make a mistake. They just generated their own offense.
40-3. The Hawkeyes over the Cowboys at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Before 9,500 some odd paid customers. Man, Mark Perry got away with a 9-4 win after a tough fight from Matt Egeland at 118 pounds, and then suddenly it was all Iowa. Actually, in the 3rd period of that match, Egeland got started. There's a warning against Wilbur. The first 2 minutes, the first 2 periods, Egeland didn't show much, and then he got tough against Perry. And the match almost got away from the #1 ranked Cowboy.
You know, when Eglin turned on in that third period, it was really the turn on for the University of Iowa wrestlers all the way through, and it has carried all the way to this match.
It has.
I mean, there's just a little lull in there in one of them, but a little lull. It's just
got the crowd off its hands.
Yeah, a little lull as a guy only scoring about 5 points in a period.
Yeah. Here we have no score, 40-3 in the last minute of the first period. Wilbur and O'Hara. Wilbur and O'Hara.
Well, they just haven't made the commitment. You know, that comes back to the same general concept that we talk about. If you're going to get an offense going, you have to make a commitment. You have to have an idea what you want to do, and you have to go and hit it as hard as you can. And it has a much better chance of working rather than just kind of pecking and looking to see if it'll work and reaching out and touching. You got to get going with it. That's what both of these men are doing. They're just not really committed to it. It's not like they don't know what they want to do. It's just that they haven't made that commitment.
Out of bounds again. We have just 14 seconds to go here in the first period as Mike Allen brings Kalen O'Hara back to the center. Very close to the end. There's the end of the period. Dan Gable. He'd like to see his heavyweight put the finishing touches to this big win. Dan Gable. One of the most successful men. There's Joe C. He's just taken over the reins of this Cowboy job.
He cannot be anything but just totally depressed. I mean, it's almost like a personality, ego, earth-shattering experience. You know, being caught in the middle of a wreck.
Yeah, he's had one wrestler go to the hospital. He has another one, John Smith, sitting over on the bench with a big ice pack on his shoulder. And we just got some word looking in the record book that no matter what happens in this match, this is the worst loss ever for Oklahoma State.
Well, it's a proud, proud tradition, and I'm sure that it's devastating for Coach Say and his young coaching staff, and it's one that the Hawkeyes earned. It isn't that they didn't wrestle well at Oklahoma State. It's just the Hawks wrestled so tough tonight that they would have beat anybody this badly.
Second period, about 30 seconds in. O'Hara is out to score the first point of the match. An escape for O'Hara. Stalling against Wilbur, and that's going to be a point. 2-0.
There's a little bit of offense generated there, at least some attempts. It's important now. Wilbur has 2 points to make up, so he's going to have to start to generate his own offense now, not just peck at it. O'Hara, of course, has to keep going.
These men are approximately equal in size. I think their weights are 240, 245, something like that.
O'Hara's at least getting in some of those offensive shots. Even though they're not totally committed, they're at least in at the legs. Now there he's into the leg. It's fairly effective for a big man when he can make even that little bit of a swing to the side and then step into the leg. Once he secures the leg, the other man, because of his size, doesn't have quite the same mobility, and he usually can score the takedown on that. So he just kind of moves him off the side, just moves the head out of the way, and swings out and steps in on that leg. It's a nice front headlock by Steve Wilbur, but it's on the edge of the mat.
Every one of the Iowa coaches is up now.
All three of them are standing out there.
Waving their hands, exhorting Wilbur to go after him.
They want to win this match. And not just because it's Oklahoma State. They're trying to get, again, their man ready for the national championship. And that means you wrestle to win every match. You don't wrestle to lose close. What does it take to win?
End of the second period. In that period, O'Hara scored first on an escape and again on a penalty point. And now he's complaining of problem with his eye.
I'm not too sure what happened to him right there.
That's Kalen O'Hara. He was 67-14 in 2 years at Nevada, Las Vegas before coming to Oklahoma State.
He's a fairly effective heavyweight in the national championships because it's not that easy to get through that tournament in place at any weight. And to place a couple times is difficult.
The applause you hear is for both teams. Phil Hattie is the public address announcer, the sports information office at Iowa. He's said, and then he put the screws to it, and he told the crowd that this would be the worst loss Oklahoma State has ever suffered.
Maybe use that to inspire Steve Wilbur to get going right here and score.
Might inspire O'Hara.
Well, O'Hara's fairly effective on top. He's a little bit more range than Wilbur does. And he does a pretty good job of chopping arms, trying to take a man down. He's a powerful young man. He's trying to cut the arm and take his opponent off his base.
That's when you talk about chop, that's a chop.
It really is. Stayed in there nice. Good offense on both men's part. Wilbur trying to get free and clear his hips. O'Hara trying to stay with it.
2-0 is the score. We're in the third period. Wilbur's out. It's 2-1. And there's no riding time to mess this up. They'll settle this with offensive and defensive points. No riding time will matter. 2-1. O'Hara, ranked number 4 in the country, leads by 1. But Wilbur has not yet been able to make any good offensive shots, any offensive damage at all.
Well, hasn't really wrestled very poorly. It's just that O'Hara's kept him off any kind of offense. O'Hara just stays into him. Now, what Wilbur needs to do is misdirect him. He needs to be able to turn him to the side. Then he can be more effective with that.
We're here near the end of this heavyweight match, and we're going to have Dan Gable on after the match is over. Chuck is going to go talk to him. There's a warning against O'Hara. 2-1, O'Hara leads with just about 36 seconds to go. We're going to have Chuck Patton go talk to Dan Gable after this meet is over and talk about this devastating Hawkeye attack here against the Cowboys in a most impressive showing tonight in Carver Hawkeye Arena. The crowd is on its feet trying to get Wilbur home here with a win in the last 30 seconds. He has a 1-point deficit to make up, but O'Hara has been doing most of the moving. O'Hara still keeps pushing at him, and Wilbur is called for going out of bounds, and it's now 3-1. He'll have to take O'Hara down in 12 seconds in order to get a draw. We're in the last 7 seconds. A duck under, that's the first really good move he made. Couldn't make it. And the match is going to end right here. 3-1, O'Hara of Oklahoma State. Well, the Cowboys won the first match of the night, and then they won the last match of the night. And what happened in between, the Cowboys would just as soon forget. The worst loss in Oklahoma State's proud wrestling history, as the Iowa Hawkeyes, obviously inspired tonight, prepared for this meet, really fired up. Dan Gable had them ready to go. took it to the Cowboys 40-6. And we're going to have an interview shortly with Dan Gable. Chuck Patton is going out to talk to him. Let's get through this very quickly here. Maybe we have a chance right now to sum it up. Mark Perry beat Matt Eglin 9-4 for the Cowboy win at 118, but it was not easy. Eglin almost caught him in the last period. Then Barry Davis got a technical fall. He was at work tonight. Obviously, he wanted to win. Greg Randall won a default. Unfortunate situation. John Smith hurt his shoulder. #1 ranked man had a default. Kevin Dresser just poured it on Leo Bailey, 16-2. Jim Heffernan beat Luke Scove 6-3. Scove finally went to the hospital because he was apparently hyperventilating. We were a little worried about him here at the intermission, and he was taken over to University Hospitals. The word came back that he's fine now, but by that time it was 20-3 in favor of Iowa. Then Marty Kistler beat Dykeman 6-4, the #1 man beating the #2 man. 167 and 177 were falls. Lindley Kistler of the Hawkeyes pinned freshman Dwayne Peoples in 5 minutes and 27 seconds. And then Rico Ciparelli turned it on in the second period. He stuck Chuck Kearney, a freshman from Portland, Oregon, in 4 minutes and 42 seconds, and then it was 35-3. Dwayne Goldman added further injury. He beat Bob Kopecki 17-5 in a superior decision at 190 pounds, and then Kalen O'Hara got the final Oklahoma State win, but it was 40-6. Well, we're just about ready to go. Dan Gable's out, getting ready to talk to Chuck Patton after this a wonderful win. And Chuck, it's all yours.
Dan Gable, congratulations. Have to be very pleased.
That would have to be one of the better performances of a total team effort that I've been around in a long time. We really dominated in scoring from all positions. We didn't stay underneath where they're very tough in a lot of the lighter weights. I have to give the credit to a lot of the lighter weights because they came really out. Matt Eglin, even that third period, gave us a spark. Davis was just super tough. Randall came out and took advantage of a situation, and right on way up the line, we just wrestled very tough. Even Wilbur was in it right in the last few seconds. So, a very good performance.
You have to really be pleased. Do you think that some of the things that you were trying to do for promotions made the kids a little more aware of it? Did that help bring this intensity out?
That's right. Anytime you do something where it gets the kid a little bit more fired up, it helps. And the other night at the basketball game in front of 15,000 people, me being on statewide television, you know, it's something that can really bring the best out of the kids.
Well, I'm sure that you have to be pleased. This is the way to get into that Big Ten and the national championship. This is the way you want them to wrestle.
That's right. I have a certain schedule planned, and I told them I'll reevaluate it after this meet. And the thing is, I'd like to stick with the schedule we already have because it's very demanding anyway.
Well, thanks, Coach. We appreciate it and taking the time. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Back to you, Dave.
Coach Dan Gable talking with Chuck Patton. And it was a big win for his Hawkeyes tonight, as Dan said. His team was ready to go. They went just the way he wanted to go. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this Iowa Public Television 9th consecutive season of college wrestling coverage. We have 2 more duels on this year. They're the Northern Iowa State meet on Tuesday, February 19th at 9 o'clock. And then a week from tonight, it's the big Iowa State rematch. That'll be on Saturday, February 23rd, down here in this same building. Boy, Iowa State's going to have it strapped on because Iowa is looking tough. And that'll be at a time yet to be announced. Check your local listings on Saturday night. And we'll see you then, Chuck.
Doug, I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. This was just an outstanding performance by the Hawkeyes. Just what they want for the national championships.